A grumpy Scot with a pint in hand, ripping through films like a one-man band. Snarky cinema where the burns are hot, honest reviews you'll never forgot. Oh hey oh hey, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. Remakes to sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. From cringe remakes to sequels gone wrong, he'll tear them apart all video long. But if it's a gem, he'll tip his hat. Rare moments when praise comes from this cat. Snark so sharp, it'll cut through steel. Honesty that you can taste and feel. No fluff, no fuss, it's a Scottish creed. For brutal truth, the world does plead. Oh hey oh hey, let the truth be told. No sugar here, it's biting and bold. With smirk and a scowl and a hearty laugh, the grumpy Scot is here to riff your craft. So grab your popcorn and duck for cover. It's cinema chats with a twist to discover. Snarky Scot with reviews that sting, a brutally honest movie rating king.
Hey, here we go. Welcome to Sergeant Grumpy's movie review night. It's Tuesday, as always, and tonight we'll be reviewing Dr. Strangelove. And after the review, probably tomorrow, the reviews will be cut and put up on Snarky Cinema. So that's YouTube at Snarky-Cinema. Now, welcome tonight again. We have David Nolan and Sean.
Yeah.
How are you doing,
Good
guys?
evening. Great to be back. Thanks, John.
Excellent, excellent. So tonight it is Stanley Kubrick's madness. What else could you describe it as? The madness that is Dr. Strangelove from 1965?
64, I think.
I think it's free.
3? So that's us, 3 of us, and we've got 3 different answers. There you go.
All right, who's the winner?
Shall we live fact check that?
Yeah, let's do it. My mind let me down there. I was going to say
1964.
62, but
63.
I don't think it's 63. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right. Have we checked it yet? No.
No. All right,
I'll
check it.
All right. Okay, you check it. You check it, and we'll find out what it is, and then we'll get into the review proper. Where's my thing gone? I've lost my thing. Ah, there it is. My little clicker for my auto cue.
It was a couple of years after the Cuban Missile Crisis.
64.
Am I right?
64.
Yeah, baby.
There you go. Right, well done. David wins that round. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to crack on with the review. Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove remains a razor-sharp political satire that lampoons the Cold War's nuclear brinkmanship, even as some of its gags creak under scrutiny, and its production shortcuts are all too apparent. Peter Sellers delivers career-defining turns, the war room set is a design marvel, and Kubrick's uneasy blend of deadpan realism and absurdity still hits home. Yet the studio-bound effects and occasionally forced humour remind us that even masterpieces have their flaws. And the film's core warning about mutually assured destruction, MAD, retains its power more than half a century on. Here's the crux of it. Some deranged American general named Jack D. Ripper, about as subtle as a brick to the head, decides the communists are poisoning his precious bodily fluids through water fluoridation and launches a nuclear strike on the Soviet Union without authorization. Insane? Possibly. Still pertinent today? Definitely. The American president then spends the film trying to call back these bombers while surrounded by war-hungry generals and a wheelchair-bound ex-Nazi scientist with a hand that can't stop giving Hitler salutes. Satire and themes, Kubrick frames the film as a black comedy in which the gravest stakes, nuclear Armageddon, are met with the most ridiculous logic, exposing the absurd fragility of human systems and fallible leaders. The film argues that if a deterrent can destroy all life, it defies common sense to claim it has deterred anything, turning the principle of mad into its own grim punchline. Peter Sellers anchors the role in three distinct roles: Group Captain Mandrake, President Muffley, and the titular Dr. Strangelove, showcasing his range from restrained British officer to manic wheelchair-bound scientist. George C. Scott's General Turgidson brings explosive energy and manic gum-chewing enthusiasm. His accidental on-set tumble was preserved by Kubrick as a sublime comic beat. Slim Pickens as Major King Kong embodies Texan bravado, riding the falling bomb in what is undoubtedly one of cinema's most iconic images ever. Ken Adams' two-level war room dominates the film's visual identity, its vast maps and towering lights creating an almost oppressively grand scale of impending doom. With no US Air Force support, Kubrick built both the war room and a B-52 cockpit on Shepperton's sound stages, later actually fooling bomber crews with the accuracy of his mock-ups. He also used the studio buildings to represent the airbase during the fight when the army are trying to take over. The Arctic sequences were shot by flying over ice fields and manually splicing the footage, a process that now looks, shall we say, more than a little shonky, but at the time it was cutting edge. The Burleson Air Force Base was often betrayed its studio origins. Corridors were doubling as offices and lighting rigs were peeking into frame, undermining some of the immersion for modern viewers. Kubrick's best humour arises from characters solemnly stumbling into chaos. The seriousness of their tone amplifies each absurd situation, from Turgidson's bathroom phone call to Mandrake's dilemma with a Coca-Cola machine. Yet some puns and character names, Merkin Muffley, Colonel Black Guano, now read as quaintly juvenile, and a handful of sight gags feel overexposed rather than organically funny. Dr. Strangelove forgives few human foibles, paranoia, incompetence, sexual repression, and amplifies them into a cautionary tale where the only assured outcome is global extinction. Despite its dated effects and uneven comedy, its portrait of unchecked military logic and flawed safeguards remains a chilling mirror to any era flirting with total annihilation. In balancing towering satire, iconic performances, and hallmarks of Kubrick's exacting vision against its evidently budgetary and technical constraints, Dr. Strangelove endures as both a flawed artifact of 1960s filmmaking and a timeless warning about the folly of mutually assured destruction. So there you have it. Dr. Strangelove is like that eccentric relative at dinner who spouts complete and utter nonsense, but occasionally says something so profound it silences the room. It's dated, it's ridiculous, but it's essential viewing for understanding both the Cold War era and our own precarious times. There you go, I'm out.
Very nice, John, very nice.
Thank you. Oh, so good evening to the chat room. I see we've got a couple in. Britmate, Shalini, Robin. Good to see you all, guys. Espresso Mechanic.
Good evening, Troll Room.
Hello.
And now we shall progress with you. I think you have a little treat for us, David, do you?
Yeah, a little je ne sais quoi, a little je ne sais quoi. A fateful moment, gentlemen, when we face the fact that our species has survived this long only by the grace of our own stupidity. And of course, that's one of the many quotes from Dr. Strangelove. So Stanley Kubrick's dark, politicized satire, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, is one of the weirdest and most bonkers films ever made, that features the late great Peter Sellers in some of his most iconic roles. As John just said about range, he had a great range in this film. Released at the height of the Cold War tensions. That is kind of debatable because, of course, the Cold War tensions ran into the 70s and the 80s up until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. So yes, Cold War tensions, and in the years after the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, Dr. Strangelove blends military madness, political paranoia, absurdity, and the dangers, as John just summated there, of how quickly nuclear conflict can escalate. And just to echo what John said again, folks, it's weird, it's bonkers, it's very very dark and satirical, but it's worth a watch, as well as the quite often some of the hamminess acting that we get in it. But there is a reason for that, and why Kubrick is actually presenting it like that as such. So yeah, get into the time machine, go back to the 60s, see what you think. It's only about 1 hour 35 minutes, just over 90 minutes, but it's worth a bit of your time, folks. Dip your wick in and see what you think. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Sean, what did you think?
Just kidding, I didn't freeze. I actually found it quite humorous at points. At first I thought it was going to be a much more serious film. About like the whole warnings of like nuclear power and stuff like that, and the butting heads of America and Russia. But I was actually kind of surprised by it. It was a bit more comedic and humorous at times, and it being very skit-like, similar to like other film productions, like the film Airplanes in a way.
Yeah.
Ironically, having an
almost
airplane.
like sketches on it.
Yeah, sketches. Yeah, sketches with different altering scenes and just like much more comedical sort of humor in a way, even though not always humorous, but sometimes adding some sort of like bits of slice of life ways. Like, for example, the president chatting with the Russian president, basically like a bettering married couple.
Ambassador. Yeah.
Well, no, like I meant like the actual
on the
president
phone
of Russia.
to Dmitry.
On the phone.
Oh, Dimitri! Of course, of course, I'll phone you. I'll phone you anytime for a chat. But this is slightly more important. Yeah.
That part of it's quite entertaining. And during the opening scene, I was like pausing there, like for a moment, like I was like, "Wait, what's that?" I was like, "Oh yes, I remember," because like some planes that fly for hours and hours on end need to get refueled by other planes via tube. Yeah. And at one point, I was like actually expecting David Attenborough to come in and chime in, like, "And here we have 2 planes attempting a meeting in the mid-air. The male dopes his
Yeah,
hose."
okay. It would have been quite good if that had happened.
Yes. And
but
in
that
9
was
months,
cool. Yeah.
a new drummer plane will hatch from this union. I'm David
Yeah.
You
could see you had to use stock footage to fill in all the plane stuff because you didn't get any cooperation.
As a matter of interest, sorry to cut you off mid-flow, Sean. Continue in a couple of seconds. John, do you know what plane was that they were? Was that like a B-52 in it?
That's a B-52.
It was an earlier version of a B-52. Yeah, I thought so.
Well, I don't know if it's an early version because I think they've only had. Well, I don't know how many versions they've had to be true, but they're all pretty much the same. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sean.
Well, back to what I was saying, like the planes meeting and all that stuff, and then moving on to like the actual scenes. I found it quite entertaining seeing all the camera work for scenes, and for some scenes as well as like the whole inside of the plane and all their like preparations and like a little we got this code, we have to take this file. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, this was during the age where they didn't have like technology or anything like that, or proper technology where they just like looked down on the computer screen. You know, they actually had to have like a physical copy of things. Oh
Yeah, like a map.
yeah, back in the old days. Yeah, back in the old days.
An A to Z, yeah.
Yes, we have plans. We have plans A to Y. Don't you mean Z? Yes, we mean Z. Yes, I found it quite entertaining, especially like the one of my favorite parts was the flippin' idiot who bursted into the office in the aftermath of the brawl between the Americans and the Americans, because they didn't know the other ones were not Soviet Union people. Was that flippin' idiot? He didn't understand the situation, and the British guy had to try calling the number of the president. Like, can you shoot that Coca-Cola machine? It was like,
Yeah.
all right, but you're gonna have to answer the Coca-Cola company. Like they have more power than the president.
Well, yeah, they probably do to a degree.
I mean, yeah, and especially nowadays, yeah, they're everywhere. I generally found this film quite humorous, and even though it's not, its humor didn't make me burst out laughing, I still found myself quite readily enjoyed by it. And near the end, when the cowboy, the main guy on the plane, was getting ready to like fix the cabling, I was like, oh wait a minute, I see where this is going. Even though I could see what was happening from about a mile away, I still found it quite enjoyable seeing that one scene going, yeah, like, okay, I'm rambling on. I'm getting all mixed up. Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Sorry,
So you generally liked it. It wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be, even though it was black and white.
Not only did I actually generally liked it, you know, I was actually a bit more invested in this film than, and no offense here, but I was actually a bit more invested in this film than I was for most of our previous entries.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting, because I found with this as well, this film, even though it's 1 hour 30 odd minutes, it does require quite a bit of patience. It's a very intelligent, stylized, dark political satire. You really have to be clued in and also appreciate the acting that occurs like within the reaction, like when there's no actual like dialogue taking place, and there's all of this other additional communication that's happening like between the actors. I also like you, Sean. I think you alluded to some of the camera shots like were really, really great, and the lighting as well. So Kubrick did a really nice job setting up a lot of these. I think what they call them is BFCUs is the acronym, like big effing close-ups of like particular characters, and the backdrop lighting, a little bit of lighting on their face. So it was really effective. So I really appreciated that kind of style of filmmaking by Kubrick in that sense. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, and like I will be honest with you. Like I don't like I try to avoid looking up some actors and stuff like that, so I don't get like sort of washed out by some of the characters in a way, because like like the whole situation with The Rock, whenever he plays a role in any film, we don't really see the character, we just see The Rock. The Rock in Jumanji, the Rock is Superman's pet, okay, and The Rock is a tooth fairy, all that stuff,
Yeah.
But what you said there about like that one guy playing the president, the British man, and what was the third one?
The scientist, Dr. Strangelove.
The scientist, like I did not realize that until now.
Oh, right, you didn't realize that was. Oh, David's gone. I'm hoping he'll come back. We've lost David. So you didn't actually realize that?
Yes, I did not realize that, because that was phenomenal acting. And that is something that I think that in today's modern generation is very lacking in some cases, because we usually some films just hire based on celebrities, like we want that really popular celebrity, but not because they're a really good actor, because they're just really popular.
Yeah.
Some films still are creative, where they try to get the actor to be much more, not just themselves, but they actually try to like have them like portray a character or something different than what they are. Like some films I like, which which luckily, thankfully, still do it. But there are other films that kind of very lack that sort of like, oh, he's back.
Apologies, folks. A slight interruption. Please continue.
Yes, well, I'm basically saying that
we basically did.
Yeah. I'm basically saying I really do love the fact that I had no idea that one guy portrayed 3 different characters in this one film, which is flipping amazing, and it's something that today's modern generation don't really have that in spades, you know, because some actors are just are just like paid to play themselves.
Yeah, I suppose the closest you're going to get is Mike Myers, isn't it? These days, you know, playing Dr. Evil and Austin Powers and, you know, Fat Bastard, and, you know,
I think there's some good ones. Like I've not seen,
what's his name? Eddie Murphy did Eddie Murphy not do?
Oh, he does a lot of stuff like in his own films, like
and the Flumps. Did he not play almost the entire cast?
Well, exactly. Well, here's a little bit of trivia connected to this movie, chaps. Now, Peter Sellers was originally cast in 4 roles. He was cast as he was supposed to be doing Slim Pickens' role as the Texan Major T.J. King Kong, but apparently, legend has it, allegedly, that Peter Sellers, he could not nail the Texan dialect or the Texan accent. He was struggling. So he dropped out of that, and they brought in Slim Pickens to play Major TJ King Kong. And he did a great role. And an additional bonus bit of trivia here is that Slim Pickens thought it was a serious film. Initially, I swear to God, legend has it, he thought it was a serious film. And this is the great thing about actual comedy, when actors are playing it straight. They're not playing for laughs. They're playing it serious. That's when you get great, you know, comedic or comedy-based effect in movies. So you could take something a bit different, like, say, The Office with Ricky Gervais, and they're playing it for real. They're playing it straight. They're playing it serious. And that's when it's at its funniest. And that's how it should be done.
Yeah, Slim Pickens was brilliant. I really enjoyed him in this. And also, Sellers did a good job. I thought his Nazi scientist was a bit over the top.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, just a little. But apart from that, I mean, but that would be Kubrick just trying to make a point, you know, because to be fair, NASA, the UK establishment, Russia, all these countries were full of scientists that came from Germany.
Country Yeah. I didn't know how to approach that, you know, like, I got that very quickly, that, yes, that Dr. Strangelove was a type of a Werner von Braun from that particular country, kind of from I'm just trying to respect the algorithm here, from World War II, you know, and it was quite obvious who Strangelove was, or he was portrayed to be. Yeah.
And as you say, it was quite obvious who won the war. No, I mean, it was pretty good, and what's his name? I thought you got to give George C. Scott a special mention. I think he played it brilliantly as well, because he's not a comedic actor, and he kind of played it straight, but you could see at times that he would flip from one stance to another, and he would do it seamlessly. It was pretty good. I really enjoyed his performance.
I did. I thought with George C.C., he was the main general. He was Buck Turgidson in the war room. Yeah, kind of. I warmed to him sometimes, and then other times I was just like, oh, just shut the you know what up, and let's just get on with it. The pace would kind of like really slow down, and they'd kind of get into this. I don't know. It was like very, again, very deeply politicized and kind of satirical. It's like, let's just we're getting kind of too wrapped up here in this kind of like limited kind of Cold War hangout. Like, let's kind of keep, I got a little bit impatient with certain performances at times where I had patience for others, like, you know, with Strangelove and, you know, Group Captain Mandrake, you know, who was very, very good. Yeah. Quintessentially British, just like, you know, tally ho, let's have a cup of tea and let's relax. You know, it was very good.
What kind of uniform is that? Yeah, it was pretty good. I didn't mind the movie. I think it is a little dated, but I think its core message is really still very valid, especially when you see what's going on just now. I mean, could we have picked a more appropriate time to review it? We've got two nuclear powers facing off against each other in India and Pakistan. We've got Israel, which allegedly doesn't have a nuclear weapon, but we all know it
allegedly
does. Yeah. Iran, which probably actually doesn't have a nuclear weapon and they've been quite honest about not wanting a nuclear weapon. So they're facing off against each other. But you would have the big boys in the background. You've got the Granddaddy USA and Papa Bear that would support their respective sides. So, and then we've got our little friend, Tiny Vlad in the Ukraine against again the big Papa Bear. So it's fraught with danger no matter where we turn. You know, there are so many things that could trigger something at a moment's notice, even as far afield as the Pacific with Taiwan and China.
Yeah, I agree, John. It's dated, but it's relevant. It still delivers like an urgent warning or message. And I don't. We should not forget, folks, that even though dated and very stylized, Hamanist and dark political satire of its time, this was produced produced and released 2 years after the Cuban Missile Crisis. And one of my parents still says to me, to this day, my mother, in fact, she was only a couple of years old, so she was only a wee lass in 1962, and still remembers, even as a child, red booklets being delivered house to house back in Dublin, in the Republic of Ireland, where she grew up. It was a very frightening time. The red booklets, the iodine tablets, and all of this, government information that was circulating. People actually thought there could be nuclear annihilation at that particular time.
Yeah. And we used to get public service announcements on TV.
PSAs
telling you to grab a mattress and hide under the stairs, put the mattress over you, and kiss your ass goodbye. Because let's face it, wouldn't have made any difference.
Jesus Christ!
But yeah, they used to give you all these things to do because, they like to keep the population happy, I suppose, and under control.
I will say that people of the current generations don't really realize how good they have it, like compared to living like that.
Well, I don't think. To be fair, it's not that different. Not that different now. You're still under the threat of nuclear war. It's just people realise that there's very little you can do to mitigate it if it did happen.
It could just pop off like a hot nuclear war, like that before before it even gets as breaking news with the mainstream media. Like, you're off and away.
Yeah.
And it just depends on how long. It could be just a kind of like a hot flash, but that could be all it takes to cause incredible untold damage.
I will have something that I need to say about that. Like, and this is a message, like, and the very slim chances that any of these political leaders are watching this, like, if there's any chance that like people like Putin or any of those other guys are watching this sort of video, then I have a message for you guys. Ditch the nuclear warheads. If you want to sell something with another country, hire an M&A fighter or whatever they call it, and then have them fight it out.
Oh, you mean have Jules? Yeah, just have your champion.
Like have Jules.
Yeah, have your champion.
Represented fighter. Have them fight, and then you can take the resources if you win or lose. Just do
that. Yeah.
It's so simple.
It's not going to work. Yeah, that wouldn't work.
I don't know if you guys also, if you dug into the background of this movie, it was based on a serious novel. I think that was released in 1958. So before the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it was called Red Alert.
Yeah.
Red Alert. Not just a kind of a DEFCON Red Alert, but I think that was more attributed towards kind of like the rise of communism. It was more about the Red Scare. Would you agree with that, guys? Or
yeah, I think so. It was more. They were kind of. He was trying to point out the incoming problem with communism and potentially it taking over from a variety of different facets. And you see that as well in the movie because he's bringing out things like the fluoridation thing, and that's still very topical. It's very
the bodily fluids. Yeah, that's where that comes from. Yeah,
it's very, very typical of problems that we have today because some countries fluoridate their water, other countries ban it.
Exactly.
And you can understand that. Can you understand why this is still a topic for discussion 50 years later?
Yeah.
Fluoridation is
Yeah.
still under discussion 50 years later. Is it good or is it bad? Surely we should know.
Yeah, according to the character, because General Buck Turgidson, played by John C. Scott, he got into this quite a lot, like especially towards the end of the film when they were still in the midst of a shootout.
No, that wasn't John C. Scott. That was the other guy. That was Ripper. It was Ripper.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up. Yes, it was. It was Sterling Hayden. Yeah, I've got that list there. Yeah, Brigadier General Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper. Yeah, Jack D. Ripper. It was great. Yeah, he got into the whole fluoridation thing. Then it made sense that, the precious bodily fluids was a euphemism for not what we thought it could have been, but it was a very clever device, the way they kind of continue with this euphemism. It's like, what's he talking about? Ugh. But it was more about kind of the potential fluoridation enacted since 1946 by the commies of the time. So that's what that was about. Yeah.
And look at today, right? Because if you went back to 2020 and 2021 and trawled, YouTube videos and even MSM TV videos or interviews from that time, you would wonder, what are these people talking about? Because they're dancing around subjects. Because we don't talk about certain things that, injectables, shall we say, because we can't see it,
That's just verboten. It's verboten.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's the same thing, The whole thing's crazy. But have we really changed at all in 50 years? Are we just treading water? What are we doing here? We've got more tech. Everything's fancier. We probably eat way more than we should do now because we're all fat. But have we changed that much in real terms? No, I don't think we have.
Yeah, we're still dealing with some crazy batshit bonkers, malevolent individuals out there who could just that's it. They could just push a button or give an order or get shit scared by something that Jack the Ripper did, and we're off and away.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in some respects, I think we probably will, or at some point, maybe visit a film called Rollerball.
1976, I think that was actually 78. Yeah,
James
70s
Caan.
movie.
And that does a good dive into corporatism and where we are now, I would say, in a lot of respects. It's not so much the governments that control the world, it's the corporations.
Corporatocracy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oligarchical corporatocracy. Now, John, I wanted to get into, because you said this in your blurb for this show. Did you have some issues with the technical issues, like with the war room? I think you wanted to kind of get into that because, go ahead.
I think you could see that everything was constrained by funding. That was a problem. And, there were things in the war room that it could have been so much better done, but obviously he didn't have the space and he didn't have the time and money to do what he really wanted to do. You really wanted something that looked like NORAD, but obviously this movie was made without any cooperation by the US military. And that becomes a problem because even if we move forward to, like, for instance, An Officer and a Gentleman, I think that was made the same year as Top Gun. Top Gun was made with the full cooperation of the US Navy. And
funding, possibly, as well. Yeah.
And An Officer and a Gentleman was made with no cooperation from the US military or Navy, right? And yet, I would say An Officer and a Gentleman is a much better movie. Ultimately.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I love Top Gun. You don't have the funding.
Yeah, I love Top Gun. But An Officer and a Gentleman is a classic movie.
A good one to review, perhaps, chaps?
Possibly
maybe
at some point. And certainly much more than just a love story.
You said it was you kind of you spoke about the war room as being like a giant poker table, John. Is that true?
Well, yeah, it kind of is. And then there's the other things like where you could actually see lighting rigs and things like that. And that's that can be a problem, you know.
Did you? You saw that? You saw
Yeah,
the lighting rig?
there are bits in the corridors and things where you can see the lighting rig poking through, you know, where they've been using them. And that shouldn't happen in a movie at all.
No.
And it certainly shouldn't happen in a Kubrick movie, you know.
No.
So yeah. Yeah. Other than that, though, I think you could overlook it, and obviously, as I said about the effects, you know, when they film the ice field and then superimpose the B-52 on top of it, it's shonky looking today. I mean, you could do better. You could literally do better on a PC now, but it was cutting edge for the day, and I suppose people put up with a lot more, you know, because. They wanted to see the movie, and it didn't have to be such a big spectacle. It had to be if it was intelligently written and well acted, then people were going to appreciate it. Whereas today, with people seem to have a reduced attention span. It doesn't allow them to enjoy something like The Deer Hunter, for instance. Mm-hmm. You know, where you spend 20 minutes at a wedding.
Sean, you wanted to get in. You kind of.
Oh yes. I also, one of the things I like is how like this film can also inspire some things, and I'm just wondering, like the general in the war room, you know, the really American guy, like he reminds me of a character I've seen from a film called Monsters vs. Aliens, because because there's a general guy in that one. And he sounds just like him, and he kind of looks like him. I wonder if like that character was inspired by the general from this film.
George C. Scott, you reckon?
Yeah, because just look at a picture of the general from Monsters vs. Aliens, and you have like, yeah, it looks like him but animated.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how these things can kind of crop up, you know, these kind of iconic roles or movies can kind of crop up in the future as kind of, you know, inspiration to other actors or other modern day movies. That's definitely not surprising at all. Yeah.
No, it's not. And think about it. You look at the amount of people that have been influenced by these movies as they were growing up as well. You know, so there's always going to be these influences creep out and appear in other people's work, you know, and it's a tribute to them, isn't it? It's a tribute to how good they are.
And apparently, legend has it that the former U.S. president Ronald Reagan wanted to see the war room that was used. Now, John, you said it was filmed at Shepperton. Is that correct?
I believe it was filmed at Shepperton. Yes.
Interesting. Shepperton Pinewood. I think it's kind of it's joined together now. But wow, that's cool.
Yeah, because see the buildings that they were using for the outdoor scenes when they were fighting the incoming US Army. Those long 60s buildings, I'm pretty sure they used them in UFO as well.
and the names as well, Burpston base, and what was one of the signs that they had outside? I think it was something along the lines of, just to paraphrase, like pieces are processed or something ridiculous like that. It was they had a lot of this funny messaging and ridicule throughout the movie as well, which was quite fun.
Yeah, they did. That's like my hoodie. It says on the back, promoting peace through superior firepower.
And apparently this film was banned in some countries as well. I did a bit of digging.
You've done more digging than I have, mate, to be fair. You're showing me up here. This is good.
No, don't worry about it. If you can,
it's good.
If you can find out what countries, John, because I didn't dig that far. It's banned in a couple of countries, but I don't know what countries they were at the time. So you're right in saying it was sharp. Politically so in the aftermath of the Cuban Missile Crisis, but it did end up getting banned. And apparently also they had in an infamous pie fight ending scene that was deleted, and they had this pie fight in the war room towards the end, but that was chopped.
It was. I have seen a cut of that, because I remember that scene and thinking, where was it in this one? And then I realized that what I'd seen had been obviously deleted scenes, because you did see the particularly the Russian ambassador stuffing his face at the buffet at the back of the war room, remember?
Yes, Peter Bull. Yeah.
No, apparently it wasn't banned anywhere.
That was oh really? I've been fed some mal-information. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. It said, hold on.
The part where Dr. Strangelove, when he goes, oh yeah, I can walk towards the end, he says,
I'm getting I'm getting conflicting reviews, right?
Go ahead.
Apparently Finland banned the movie as they were concerned it would offend its neighbour, the Soviet Union. Not so
No surprise.
Not so concerned about that now, are we, Finland?
Yeah, I wonder if they're still banning it.
Yeah.
Those Finns. Love you, Finland, but, come on. It's not the USSR anymore.
Yeah, that's about it, I think.
So the part where Strangelove says, Mein Führer, I could walk, apparently that was ad-libbed, and it was left in for comedic effect. So that was nicely done by Peter Sellers, and it was left in by Kubrick. And on that note, it's been said in many kind of making of documentaries and other actors and actresses who've spoken about Stanley Kubrick, he is not really an actor's director. He was never really a great director to work with at times. And I think one of those testimonies was given during The Shining, one of his other psychological thrillers of, I think that was back in the, what was it, like late 70s, early 80s or something with Jack Nicholson. But Stanley Kubrick, like some other film directors, William Friedkin of The Exorcist is another one. Apparently they were absolute bastards to work with at times, folks. Really not difficult directors, amazing directors, but very difficult people.
Yeah, Kubrick was a strange egg. He really was. And what's his name? George Lucas. He was a bit odd as well. Like you know when they did how David Prowse was Darth Vader in the first three movies.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
And completely unknown actor James Earl Jones was chosen as the voice. Originally, Lucas wanted Orson Welles as the voice. Yeah, but the film was filmed with David Prowse making all the statements and being Darth Vader. And it sounds awful. Right?
Oh yeah, I've seen the clips of that.
Yeah, he does sound awful. And
it does not have that menacing feel that James.
No, he
Jones
doesn't.
has. Rest his soul.
And yes. David said to Lucas, I'm quite concerned that my voice is getting muffled by the mask and you won't hear my diction properly. And George said, don't worry about it, David. We'll be re-recording it all over in post, so you don't need to worry about it at all. He just didn't say, we'll be re-recording it with someone else. That's what directors can be like, yeah.
Yeah,
because he obviously wouldn't want to upset him while they're making the movie, so he just made the movie and then dubbed his voice over with James Earl Jones.
Because bless them, as we know, actors they're very sensitive. There's a lot of drama on the set, a lot of drama off the set. And it was great to see a much younger James Earl Jones. He was one of the lieutenants in it as well. Yeah, he was iconic voice. Yeah,
in the plane. He was the guy in the plane. Did you recognize him, Sean? Yeah, he was in the plane.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He was a black guy in the plane.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. I didn't recognize him because I only really, the thing is, I've only really heard him like as Mufasa or Darth Vader. And then like, I think the one time I've seen him like is like some recent clips or anything like that, or like his appearance in The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Fun fact, in The Big Bang Theory, that was the first time he ever met Carrie Fisher.
There's a story about Carrie Fisher as well in Star Wars. Because she's like, why can't I wear a bra? And George Lucas goes, there's no bras in space. She just accepted it.
No.
Because if you look, I mean, she's obviously not wearing a bra in that white flowy thing that she wears all the time. So yeah, apparently that.
Espresso,
I think there was,
express
I
mechanic.
don't think most people noticed because they were just looking at the big hair loops.
Yeah, okay. There's no brand.
Espresso Mechanic said Shelley Duvall certainly had a rough time in The Shining, and yes, mate, that is right. I remember seeing her talking about. I think Stanley Kubrick was her ex-husband. I think they were together at the time, and boy, I remember seeing some of the, some of the, the kind of the backstage footage, or so to speak, off camera, and he was an absolute bastard with her. But he got some great acting from her, so maybe there was a bit of method to Kubrick's madness as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty mental. It was mental.
And Ridley Scott, he's another one.
Oh yeah. One. Well, he's an arsehole anyway, isn't he?
But yeah, he was especially hard. Actually, is one of my most favorite sci-fi movies of all time is Blade Runner, and he was going through a very traumatic, difficult time. He even mentions this in the documentary. I think he lost his brother. His brother died, and there was all sorts of stuff going on in his life. But he was an absolute bastard to the cast. But again, Ridley Scott is another example of, he's not an actor's director. Like, he's a great director, but he's not an actor's director. Very difficult man to work with, but he has gotten better over time, apparently.
Yeah.
So
directors are funny people, though. I mean, I made them. I was in a movie once.
Yes, I know. You always tell me that.
Pray tell.
I was in a movie called Redcon 1. It's terrible. It's an absolutely terrible movie. I was
Redcon or Redcon?
Redcon 1. It's a zombie movie.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. It's a Chinese guy's the director in it.
Did you do this when you were in like Hong Kong, when you were a younger chap, or
no? This was about 2017.
All right. Did you play a copper?
No, I played a biker. I was part of a biker gang, and my bike was in it as well. You see me on screen for about, I don't know, 1, maybe 3 seconds. It's my bike. It's me on the bike that comes in front of the biker gang into this big shed thing. But you really just see the headlights and the big batwing fairing and all that, and the helmets. And then you see me walking.
Claim to fame.
You see me walking across the back of the behind the kind of shot with a shotgun over my shoulder.
Nice, badass, John.
Chi Keong Chung. Chi Keong Chung was the director.
John.
Yeah, it's on IMDb. What's it called? 3.8 out of 10. So it's not a great movie. But he never spoke to anyone. It was always his lackeys that would tell you what to do, that would set up everything. You never actually saw him do it. He just sat in the background and never said a thing. He just sat there with his monitor and did everything.
It's mostly TV that kind of happens, but it's assistant directors, first director, assistant director, second AD. They do all the shuffling, and but
directors really need to have a good influence on their cast. Give them proper directions, face to face, not like hey, you tell them to do this. What's something? What's it called? Telling someone else to do something for you, or was it What's the thing called?
Delegate.
Yeah, delegate. That's it. Yeah, just delegating constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the really, really good directors actually have a good conversation with their cast. You're like, hey, I love this. Can you do this a bit differently? Great.
Yeah. Constructive criticism. And
yes, constructive. Yeah. Or they could be like, that was perfect. You got it, baby.
Keep it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ratings wise, what would you chaps give it? I mean, I'll kick it off. I would get out of 10. I would give this. I give it 7.5, 7.5. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's too low, too high. Again, I think I take points away for. Yeah, it's slightly dated. It could kind of confuse or bore people at times. Like, you need a lot of patience for it and to appreciate there's some of the hammerless acting, and it's very dark political kind of satire. It's not everyone's cup of tea. So 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. I'll give it a good solid 7. Good 7.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 7 as well.
Yeah, there you go.
And all the films we reviewed so far, I would definitely put it as my second highest favorite one we've done.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Well, technically first if we don't include my one that we did.
I don't know what one I'd put first at the moment. Probably the Deer Hunter. Yeah, if the ones we've reviewed, I think I'd put the Deer Hunter up there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So what's the next movie going to be, Sean? What's the choices?
I will give you my choices, and I will also do the whole boxing again. But this time, to prove that, just so some people are like, hang on, is he just going to change it to whatever he thinks? Like, no, I'm going to write down the possible second option, but it will only happen if you both agree on switching from my first choice.
Okay.
So you make your first choice.
Right. I'm gonna stay with the themes of impending nuclear war, but I'm gonna lighten it up even more. Right. I'm gonna go with war games.
Ooh, nice. So you chaps are going to do a poll. Going to put it to the polls.
So my first choice is going back to Godzilla 1998, because it keeps with some themes of the whole nuclear war, some things like nuclear, all stuff. But I'm also going to make a second option, a second option in case you guys want to change it. So just so we're clear on it.
Right. So what happens? We both need to agree if we want to switch, and if we don't agree, it stays with Godzilla 1998.
Yes. Okay.
That'd be quite interesting because Godzilla 1998, is that not Matthew Broderick as well?
Correct. It is. Matthew Broderick is in. That's the Roland Emmerich one. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
All right.
At the cinema.
I written down my second choice here, but it's only gonna be changed to this if you both agree. So
right. Okay.
In the box we have right now is Godzilla 1998. Would you want to go to the second box? Yes or no?
I'm going to say, well, David, what would you do? Would you change or not?
Not changed. I would say stick with Godzilla.
Yep, we're stuck with Godzilla. So there we go. So the poll is up, people. Get voting. I will put one up on the what do you call it? The thingy. The vertical one, just in case, because we are still streaming there. So I shall put a poll up there also.
Hachi says The Blob. Oh, that's one I have not seen for a long time. The Blob.
That's kind of funny that they say that, because, like I was saying about that general guy possibly being an inspiration for the general in Monsters vs. Aliens. There's actually a monster in it, based on the Blob, called Bob.
What did I watch recently that was kind of based on the Blob? It was an alien movie like that, but it was modern, but it was set in those times where it was like fake. It was really interesting.
Slither, was it? Or
no, it was really modern. It was like in the last couple of years. I can't remember. Yeah.
Give us a little bit more information about it.
Oh God, there were an alien landed in a spaceship. It was able to take over people's appearances. An alien landed in a spaceship. It crashed. There was a prisoner in the spaceship. The prisoner escaped. That was the creature that was eating people, and the other alien was able to take over people's bodies.
Right.
And was trying to find it, and I can't remember what the hell it was called. It wasn't a great movie. It wasn't a great movie, but it was interesting.
Oh yeah. Any notable kind of names, or it was just kind of B, C cast, like
it was
Z cast?
It was a B cast, yeah.
Right.
I'll find it.
Yeah, let me know.
What was it again? Like an alien crashes and then another one takes over bodies trying to find it?
Yeah.
That strangely sounds like one. That sounds like a Pokemon movie I remember back in the day.
Or Body Snatchers is quite similar.
Let's see how good Grok is then.
Yep. Grok or Gork. I think that's the alter ego of it.
So what was their choice again, John?
Mine was
War Games.
Oh, War Game. And mine's
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Yeah, War Games is a classic. Again, that's very on Matthew Broderick. I haven't seen that in a long time either. Probably would only be my second time viewing it if we had to review it. But that is also very good.
Did you ever see Godzilla 1998?
Yeah, I saw it at the cinema. Yeah, it was one of the Roland Emmerich classics. Even remember the soundtrack by. Well, it was P. Diddy, but he was called Puff Daddy at the time. They did a cover of Led Zeppelin's Kashmir. That was kind of like the cover track. And they called it "Come With Me." Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had that song. I think that was my first ever monster movie.
Yeah, it was great though. It was very entertaining for a '98 movie by Emmerich. So that was Emmerich in his prime with those big movies.
Yeah, it was definitely a part of my childhood for a long time. I think I mentioned before that it actually got like it got a continuation in a TV series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like some other like cartoons like on Fox Kids. Some of them were based on like certain movies that came out. Like there was like a series based on Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I remember watching the original the Godzilla the animated series, and I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. It was sadly one of those shows that eventually got canceled because it couldn't compete with other shows like Digimon and Pokemon in time.
Mm-hmm. Hachi says, watch the Magnificent Seven original with Steve McQueen and Yul Brynner.
Oh, I thought he was going. Nice. I thought he was going to suggest the Seven Samurai.
Yul Brynner, yeah, that's a classic. Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, the Magnificent Seven was a cracking movie. Yeah.
I think I saw the newer one with Chris Pratt.
Really? They remade the Magnificent Seven?
I think so. I remember seeing a while ago.
Well, hey, why am I laughing? Because they remade the Seven Samurai. I bet there's Japanese people going, why would they? And Japanese, of course.
Cruise?
What?
Is that the one with Tom?
No, the Seven Samurai. Not the Seventh Samurai, the Seven Samurai. That was what the Magnificent Seven was based on.
Right, got you.
Jack. Oh, that was classic.
Yeah, for some reason I thought the Last Samurai I think that was Cruise. Yeah.
I just had the Samurai Jack theme song playing in my head. It was
Samurai Jack, Adult Swim, yes.
Oh yeah, I can barely remember watching the actual original series back when I was a kid, watching Cartoon Network. It was one of the shows I didn't watch that often because I usually watch on Cartoon Network with stuff like Shaolin Showdown and Ed and Eddie and Powerpuff Girls.
Did you get to the bottom of that, John? That particular movie? Did you manage to?
No, Grok has got.
Grok failed.
Oh, Grok has failed, but as it's failed, right? This is incredible. So since no existing film aligns precisely, it says, right? I'll create a fictional movie summary that matches your request. So it's made a fucking movie up for me to tell you about that doesn't exist.
What?
That's AI.
Find it manually.
That's AI for you. Eh?
I
don't use Grok very much at all, but I don't have Firefox open just now, so I can't go into Perplexity.
Can someone make a virus program to take out all image making AI and stuff like that? Because honestly, I'm getting sick and tired.
For the purposes of YouTube, that's just a joke. Yul was a handsome chappie, says Julie. He was a bit scary looking, Yul Brynner, was he not? I remember him in what was the one where he was the what would you call him? Not a Mandarin? Was he a Mandarin? What's that movie called? Oh, it was a music.
Sounds like something you wouldn't get away with nowadays, John.
Oh no, I know. I was about to say something and I thought, no, I better not say that. It's ridiculous what you
careful.
can. I mean, I get pulled up today for saying that there was three black women drivers today that I saw were obviously had never passed a test in their life because their driving was so appalling, right? And someone said, "Why did you have to mention their skin color?" And I'm like, "Well, that was pertinent to it was a common factor between them."
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. People are just gone nuts these days. You can't say anything.
The retort to them is, "Well, why are you getting so offended?
Yeah.
Why are you getting so offended? Just having a conversation." Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
To be honest, they probably would have still got offended if you just said like free women drivers.
Oh no, I was actually thinking about that and thinking maybe I should just have said 3 people driving completely nondescript cars. Definitely not Audis.
Yeah, free and gender non-specific people.
John, it looks like you might have won the vote, mate.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I'm all right. I think I'm all right. I think I found them out. Hey, John, I think it's War Games. You'll like War Games, mate.
Sean, you're going to like it.
You'll like
It is
War
good
Games.
stuff. Yeah.
War
yeah, I
Games
know, but
War Games is quite good. You'll like it.
yeah, I'll give it a try. I was just hoping for my choice.
You'll get there, mate. You'll get there. One day.
Respect the G-Man.
The what, Godzilla?
Yes, the G-Man.
Yeah, well, you'll get there. You'll get there.
Or some toxic Godzilla fans will refer to this one as just Zilla, because some of them are just like.
I'll let it run.
Because like.
I'll let it run slightly longer, and my score went up, so I'm just going to end it now. Thank you, people, for voting. Remember, like, share, subscribe. But apart from that, yep. Next week will be War Games, starring Matthew Broderick and Lee Thompson. Is it? Is it Lee Thompson?
I'm not sure. I just remember Broderick as the lead name.
Yeah, I think it might. I might be Lee Thompson.
What's happening with you this week in streaming, John? I know you've got a new review out for the Snarky Cinema. I think you were saying about The Killer.
Yes. So
would you like to advertise that?
Yes, I have. On David gave me some pointers of movies to watch that he found particularly intriguing last week, and one of them was The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender, which I did watch. I watched it, and I've reviewed it. And if you want to find out what I think about it, go to Snarky Cinema. So it's youtube.com/@snarky-cinema. And then you can read or listen to the review. It's not long, it's about 6 minutes. And
do we have a rabbit hole this week, sir?
Well, Ed's off this week. He has things on. So I'm doing a true crime episode.
Oh, excellent.
I'm making a
Very
true
nice.
crime episode, and I might do it as a kind of, a video inside the live stream, so as we can then talk about it on live stream. And it's quite current because it's going to be on the case of Ogonwaska, the Polish woman who claimed self-defense when she defended herself against the guy who was, you can't even say, what is it? Intimate assault.
Okay.
And she ended up with 17 years in the jail. So it's going to be on her case. Because there's been a lot on Twitter about it and quite a lot of misinformation. So I've actually been through the court records and I've made I've dug out what the judge said and how what the jury said and the evidence that was led by both the prosecution and the defense. So I shall be making a proper informed opinion on it and whether it was or wasn't right and whether it's been a miscarriage of justice or whether it's been correct. We'll find out.
I think it's a good niche, John. I think because you're an avid researcher, you like to dig. You're a former officer as well, so I think this is right up your street, mate. So yeah, good luck with that. I look forward to that one.
Yep, it takes a wee bit longer to do, but it should be quite interesting. So we'll see how it goes.
Do we have a special guest for All In?
We do.
On Friday. What's happening? We do. Can you reveal who the guest is?
Oh
or do we
yeah,
just have to wait?
No, I can reveal.
Simon Cowell.
It's apparently he's calling himself Chad Hawk.
Chad Hawk.
Yeah,
man of the people.
That's it. That's him. Yeah, he's coming along on Friday. Chad Hawk, man of the people, will be appearing live on Friday on All In.
That'll be fun and interesting.
It should be. It should be different. Yeah. Well, it'll be
Yeah.
back to the way it used to be. So
Yeah.
it will be completely bonkers. That's what it'll be. Right, I think that's us. We've done our hour. You got any movies you think I should watch at the weekend other than next week's War Games?
For me, after recommending The Killer, John, and getting a sneak preview of what you said about it, it's like, I'm not going to say anything to our audience. Just go out and check it. I've got no other recommendations for you at present, John. Maybe in the future.
I myself, I would like to suggest a really good series if you're ever interested.
What's that?
One Piece.
God,
One Piece.
You suggest this to me every time.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I tell you what I have enjoyed though, and that'll be out again on Thursday with the last 3 episodes, I think, is Andor season 2.
Oh.
Okay.
And I'm writing a review on that as well.
I'm not.
I've
I don't think I've seen any of the Star Wars based TV shows except for like maybe 1 or 2 episodes of Mandalorian.
Andor's pretty good. It's a slow burn. But it gets there in the end. I quite enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
It's a prequel to Rogue One, which I watched.
Oh, okay.
I watched Rogue One again, actually, because I had seen it before, but I thought I hadn't.
Is it any good? I've heard so many mixed reviews about Rogue One. Yeah, I completely bypassed it.
I thought it was alright. Just one of those one-off things I watched.
I'll give you a sneak preview. I'm doing a review, right, of all the Star Wars episodes and ranking them, right?
Are you watching the Clone Wars series?
No. I'm doing a ranked review of all the Star Wars things for a video, okay? And I have made little comments for each one. So I'll give you a sneak preview of what I said about where is it? Good grief. I've got so much stuff. Tell you what, I shall start. 2 seconds. Bear with me a second, and then we shall be ending this stream. So remember, like, share, subscribe, because it's good to evangelize. Where's my Andor list? Not Andor, Star Wars. Talk amongst yourselves.
We gotta fill up that dead air. I think
I was going to say I've not seen any of the Star Wars TV shows. I think I've only seen some of the Star Wars films. Like I've seen Rogue One. I've seen Han Solo. Regrettably, I've seen I think I've seen the New Hope, Phantom Menace. I've seen all the new ones, all the new movies and stuff. I hear that the Star Wars, the Clone Wars series is really good.
Yeah, apparently that's right. So I took the scores from IMDb, so I didn't rank them. These are not
okay.
This is not where I would have put the things. This is how IMDb, which means the people's choice, right? So Rogue One comes in at number 10, and I'll do it in my Grumpy Scott voice. Ocean's 11 in space. If Danny Ocean's entire crew got killed at the end, Darth Vader's hallway scene was worth the price of admission alone. Turns out Star Wars is better when everyone dies before they can get ruined in a sequel. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that one scene was awesome. Like
the end?
Yeah, the scene with Darth Vader, yeah.
Oh, the scene with Darth Vader, yeah.
Yes. Like that one scene was like the best part of the entire film. Like
Yeah,
That's-
it wasn't too bad a movie. It was a bit. It was basically a war movie set in space.
That's basically what they all are.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know. Anyway, let's not get to Star Wars. We'll be here all night. Right, okay. It's been great for you. See you next week.
See ya.